Hey, welcome everybody. It's Emma here. Welcome to the show. I've got some talking points here. So every now and then, if you see me look on the side or look left and right, that's because I'm trying to get everything clear because the setup is weird, okay? So there's a mic here, the camera there, and then there's a controlling box here, which is a very powerful live streaming machine that changes backgrounds and all that. It is something that I built. It's very powerful. I'm trying to make I'm finishing up some videos that I've made of how I made the system. It's really good. If you see the videos, it's well built, and it's also good for people who are planning to do so let's say wedding streaming, like streaming weddings or streaming soccer or football or whatever you want to call it. So it's good for those, or even those ones who people who do conferences and different occasions. It's portable, it's well built, it's in a very strong case, so everything is built into it. All you do is connect. Anyway, I'll show you how it works and how I built it. And so let's get on to the topic for today. There are a few things I've written down and I'll be talking to you about them. So Donald Trump, the story right now is that Donald Trump is planning to open his own social networking site, which is pretty good because number one, he got kicked off Twitter, he got kicked off Facebook, got Instagram, he got kicked off that too. And the surprising point about that was that even Shopify kicked him off. So that surprised me because I thought that was just a stall, but apparently he got kicked off that as well. And then the second thing that most people are looking forward to was the coming back of Parler. But then who knows what's happening? Apparently they're still working on a few things. That is the rumor. And also, so if Donald Trump opens his own social networking site, that will be amazing. So people will be going there as well, because I don't think he'll build it to a point where he has to moderate you and stop you from saying what you want to say. Because if you imagine, Donald Trump was the only president, I think, anywhere. Maybe now they've started doing it. But he was the only president who was approachable, meaning he was tweeting. He became the president who tweets. So if that is also a word, and if you can trademark that and make t-shirts, I'm the president who tweets, or I'm with the president who tweets, whatever you want to do, because he's the only guy who made that happen. So if you look at it, he built Twitter. I don't mean he built Twitter as in he built Twitter, but he made Twitter what Twitter is now. Because if you look at it, most people went to Twitter to try and counter argue what Trump is saying, and then also some went there to see, okay, what else is Trump saying, because he kept making you want to go back to Twitter. I had a Twitter account, it got blocked, and I don't think I'll go back to that one. So because I was posting and also sharing a few things here and there about Trump and all the good things that are happening around the world because of his influence. Because if you look at Trump right now, Trump is it's not, this whole movement is not only happening in America. Trump's movement has happened all over the world, meaning there's no country that does not know Donald Trump. Okay, most countries you don't even know even the president of the country, but Trump has become an icon in very many people. So whatever is happening right now, everybody's looking at America, because if America falls, everything falls. As much as people don't want to hear that, but that's the fact. If America falls, we all fall. Okay, so that is I've just jumped left and right. So if you look at that, so if Donald Trump is planning to come up with their own social networking site, well, there you go. So there's that story. And then, of course, the PCR tests from WHO. So apparently, some of the tests were bringing out, they were giving you false positives. So imagine how many numbers were counted of people who got infected, and yet they are now coming out saying that some of the tests were actually positive or false positives, if I can say. So there is that story as well. So if we look at another talking point here is hydroxychloroquine. Sorry, hydroxychloroquine. Now Facebook is saying sorry for them deleting those posts, but apparently, according to the stories I hear, it's that they are planning to not delete or put back or restore some of the posts that were deleted that were concerning hydroxychloroquine. Because remember, when Trump said it, it was evil. When they say it, it's good. So when Trump came out and said that hydroxychloroquine is good, it works, everyone wanted it banned. So even different countries, so in a country like, so let's say in Uganda, most people use hydroxychloroquine, which is chloroquine. So they use it for malaria, for this and that, and it works. So imagine if you block everybody from having it. You are creating a lot of problems for third world countries that can't afford to survive without some of these drugs. Okay, so yeah, so Facebook is saying sorry for that, and apparently they might be putting back some of the posts, and then some of them they're not going to delete them. That's because they're realizing it's becoming tougher for them. People are leaving their platforms. So there is that talking point as well. So those are things that you're not going to hear in your news, and more stories are coming out through the news, and some of them are just hidden. And also, so if you think about what is happening at the moment, it's that Twitter, Facebook, those two are right now are having some people are leaving those platforms. People are trying to move. So I think what might happen is history repeats itself in some way or another. So things like, I don't know if you remember, some of us who are old, we were there during the time of MySpace. I had an account on MySpace when I used to produce my music, and I was on it for some time, but then it changed. MySpace changed, and the way they changed it, it just did not catch up with the time. So I think that is what is happening. That's why I see, like on Facebook is losing a lot of people. Twitter is the same thing. Like when I had an account on Twitter, and that is before my account got blocked, it was so after Trump left, Twitter became so boring. Like it was boring. You could just go in and look at some of the posts, and some of the posts, and it's like they were not really captivating. They wouldn't give you that feel of how Trump used to make it feel, because today he would say this and then the politicians say something else, and that was that. So the other talking point I have here is, ask yourself one question: why was Trump disliked? So because remember, there are so many people who dislike Trump. Some of them don't even know why they dislike Trump. Some of them just hate him because he tweets too much. They dislike him because he says it as it is, because it might hurt people's feelings. Okay? So he was a guy who who did not actually, he cared, but not to the extent that he has to 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 keep saying sorry for something that that has to be said, if you know what I mean. So that is why people hated him. But if you look back, there's some executive orders that were signed, which, if you think about it, those executive orders should not have been signed. It should have been just common sense to do them without needing an executive order, if you know what I mean. So when he signed an executive order to stop human trafficking, that from that point on, I think that is where everybody hated Trump. When he signed that, that is when I started realizing I think there's some deep connection with some high-end people to this business. Because to me, as soon as he signed that, he became a bigot, he became this, he became that. Every kind of name was given to Trump. So ask yourself one question. I thought that would be something that everybody would be so happy that they have stopped doing human trafficking and also child molesting and all that. You would find that people should have been happy for that, and that should not have even needed an executive order. That should have been something that should be done. Like, it should be something that you say, okay, let's go do this, and they go and do that. But because he had to do it that way, because remember, like when Trump was saying that the swamp is so deep, some of us did not understand it, but we just thought, okay, maybe he's talking about the deep as in the politicians, this and that. We did not know how deep he actually meant. So if you think about it, that is something that we did not know, but he kept saying the swamp is deep and we need to drain the swamp. So to me, as soon as they signed that executive order, that was the beginning of everyone hating Trump. Because remember, the TV stations are the first ones that started educating people how Trump was bad. They told you how evil he was. They told you how bad the guy is, and we are going to go to war, and this is happening, and Trump is going to do this. They even said they kept saying that they feel very sorry for the world, because how can a madman like Trump be given the nuclear codes? Like, seriously, if you think about that, these are guys who kept pushing that narrative. And so imagine if you push that many times, so you change the channel, the same guys are talking about Trump being this, you change to this, so eventually it picks up in everyone, and then it makes people who don't really know will start to take it in and think that this guy is actually bad. So that is one other thing that kept happening. Okay. Okay. Another talking point is to do with my pillow guy. If I think that's how it's called, Mike Landell. Anyway, my pillow guy. This is another talking point. It's funny. Okay. He's a patriot. These are guys who don't care even if their business drops. Okay? When they see something needs to be done, they do it. So a guy like him, my pillow guy, if you haven't heard the story, so what happened is he was having some of his products in different stores. So some of the stores wrote to him and they canceled selling his products. So his products got kicked off the shelves. So, but remember, he got kicked off, I think, Twitter, Facebook also kicked him off, I think, something like that. So what happened there is, when they kicked him off, there's a saying that when one door closes, another door opens. Okay? So when they kicked him off these platforms and also the shelves, his website started going down. Now, at first, I went to it once to see what was happening, and I think I got there at the wrong time, because when I got there, the site was off. Sometimes it would take forever to load, which I kept thinking, okay, why is that? So then when I looked at some of the stories around, then I started realizing that his website started going down because it started getting too much traffic. Okay, he got very much traffic to his website. And that was shocking because everybody was like, oh, you know what, if they have kicked this guy off, let's support the little guy. Everybody jumped on his website, so he started selling. So yesterday in the news, there was a story that's where he said that that they're even failing to fulfill shipment at the moment because the orders are too many. So you see how that happens when these big guys think that they can control they can control whatever is happening to humanity. They don't realize that mankind can come into one accord and work together. So that is one thing that I think is happening at the moment. When this door closes, people's doors are getting opened. So when Twitter started kicking off everybody, people went to Gab. So it was the websites you should actually look at, let me just say, are Telegram, Gab.com, Rechatter.com. So if you go to Rechatter, because I have an account there, so Rechatter.com, and then the other one is like Facebook, and it's called Face Signals. So facesignals.com, Rechatter.com, Gab.com, and Telegram, yeah. So if you go to those sites, at least create an account on different sites. Imagine, I know it can be very daunting. Some people find it very hard to have an account here and there, which I can understand. But you are at a pivotal time right now, okay? Imagine most people had accounts, or they had accounts on they had an account on Parler. So Parler got kicked off. Some people have an account on Gab. Some people complain Gab is very slow, and some people say it's very confusing. Some people have an account on Telegram, and Telegram is very confusing. But the ones that I've seen actually work are facesignals.com and also Rechatter.com. So Rechatter.com and Face Signals, those ones, I think they're so simple, like they're the simplest. You can write as much as you can, and you can share videos, you can write posts and share them. And so imagine if you create accounts on all these platforms, and you have a following here, a following there, a following there. Imagine once people start to follow you, and there's something that you want to do, and this can also work for business, for startups. So imagine you've got a following. You don't need to only rely on one platform. So imagine people who had millions of people following them on Twitter, on Facebook, and then all of a sudden they got kicked off. They lost everyone there. Then they had to go back and start afresh. So imagine if you had all these other platforms, so that if this platform is going slowly, you can jump on the other one, share it there. So if you're a business and you can share some of your products on that site, on that one, and imagine if every one of these channels, people are buying what you're selling, that to me is another way of marketing. So you having those accounts on different platforms, I don't think there's any problem there, because to me, the way I see, like, I have an account on Rechatter, I have an account on Face Signals, and I can share my post through them without even, like some sites you go to, and if you're sharing a link, they automatically start to block your link. But what I've seen with the Rechatter and Face Signals, there you can post and you can link, and there's no problem. So that's one thing that I've liked about that. And what are the talking point? So let's talk about Dr. Fauci. Okay, now Dr. Fauci is, how can I say, he's very different. He's a different kind of human being, if I can say. Okay, you remember when COVID was beginning, he's the same guy who told you, don't worry about masks, everything is okay, you don't need masks. And after that, he came back, you need to all wear masks, but you can only wear masks, I think he said you can only wear them outdoor. Then, a few months later, oh, you can only wear masks, I don't know, he just confused the whole narrative. He said wear them indoor, then wear them outdoor. No, but you shouldn't wear them indoor, because then that was retracted, I think. And then again, something else happened. He said, now we should wear 2 masks. Now, breathing itself is very hard if you live in hot areas and you're masked up. Just take that in. You're masked up and you're really sweating. Then he comes back and says, I think it was a few weeks ago, he came out and said everybody needs to wear 3 masks. Now we came from 1, 2, now we're 3 masks. Now if you start to see, if you start seeing people drop dead, I think you all know who to go and blame, because how do you tell people to wear 3 masks? That is suffocation. So when you start to suffocate, you are destroying your immune system. This is just me saying, I'm not a doctor, and don't take what I'm saying. This is all entertainment purposes. But remember, listen to what they're saying, but also use common sense. That is all I'm saying. Just use common sense. Okay? It's like me telling you to go and breathe underwater. Would you? No. Okay, so that is Fauci's news. So 3 masks now, apparently. I don't know how that works. Okay. So the impeachment is happening at the moment. But when you think about the impeachment and the hearing, okay, I don't know if you remember before the Electoral College, okay? Before the Electoral College, Sidney Powell, Giuliani, and some other lawyers, they filed a lot of, they submitted a lot of cases to the Supreme Court, but those cases were not actually, they were not looked at, if I can say, but they submitted a lot before the Electoral College. And then if you see what was happening, they had to follow the Constitution. So when the time came for the Electoral College to sit, everything was put on pause. So remember, they filed before, but now the stories that are coming out are that there's going to be another hearing. So which means the Electoral College finished their part, but now the Supreme Court is going to re-listen to the cases that were filed by Giuliani and Sidney Powell. Okay, so those cases are coming. So if those cases turn, then that means Trump will be president. So you see, that's why you see the Democrats on this side also had a twist of impeaching him. So if you think, okay, this is my own thoughts. If you see the countermeasures that are happening, okay, Giuliani, Sidney Powell, they filed before the Electoral College, okay? So now the Democrats they started, I think, processing impeachment files. They started the impeachment files to, sorry, I need to, just one sec. Okay, so they tried to, so they started filing their impeachment. No, they hadn't yet submitted the impeachment files. They sat on them, remember? So now what happens here, why you see them going into the impeachment at the moment, why they're doing the whole impeachment, is because they know that Sidney Powell and Giuliani have filed a lot of cases to do with voter fraud. So which means if the knob twists, they don't want Trump to become president because they have already impeached him, remember? So this is like left and right playing a game. But people need to understand that these things have to happen, okay? If you've heard me talk about things to do with the reality of the universe, and also what makes our vibrations tick, is that everything has to happen. I know that's why you see most people might think, why doesn't God kill Satan? Okay, why doesn't God kill the devil? It doesn't work like that. Okay, look at it this way. God and Satan have to exist, whether you like it or not. Those two have to exist because they're like principles. So there is good and evil. You cannot have good without evil. Those two have to work together. So if you say, wow, that dress looks good on you, you look beautiful, okay? So you've just created ugly on one side because you say that was beautiful, so you've just created ugly. And if you say that is ugly, you've just created beautiful. So these things work together. That's why I see, as much as Christians will pray for God to destroy Satan, it can't work. Okay, it doesn't work like that. Everything works in. So that's why you see right now. Sorry, I went that side, but take it for what it is. So the left and the right, the right and the left, have a game they're playing. These guys filed, so the Supreme Court is waiting. These guys know if Trump goes through with all the evidences that have been dropped, they might turn out and then pluck out Biden and then put Trump back in. But not in the White House. There's more to that, okay? Not in the White House. Something is not right around the White House. So if they put Trump back, if these guys have won to impeach Trump, that means even if Trump is coming back as in a president, these guys will already start claiming, no, but we impeached him. So which means he cannot run for president. But again, if you think about what they have done, they did not actually follow the Constitution to the impeachment. But if you follow the whole Constitution, you realize that this whole thing can be kicked out because it's not following the Constitution, okay? So that's why you see, when you look at things like the Constitution, the army is there to protect the Constitution. The Constitution is there to protect you. So when people play with it, they're actually playing with the document that is for everyone in the country. Each country has their own document, and that document is there to protect the people. So anyway, I've been speaking for 29 minutes. Okay, so there are more talking points that I'll make in the next video. So now so let me look this side, and then I'll transfer the screen over to okay, let's go. Okay, so this is my ReChatter account. So there are stories here on ReChatter that I saw. Okay, so some of these things you cannot find them on Twitter because they got deleted. You cannot find them on Facebook because they got deleted. but you can find some of the things here. So some people here, like like Dan. Then there was also Lynn Wood. So there are people who have shared. It's not, let me say, I don't it's not Lynn Wood himself, or Dan Scavini. Sorry, I've just butchered that name, I think. So it's not them, but people share their posts from different channels. I don't know where they're finding them, so I think they're on Telegram or on Gab. But people have also created, there's some supporters of these high-end people like Lynn Wood and the rest. So if you cannot find some of them, you always find them there, because some of these documents you cannot find them on Twitter. So yeah, so this is my account, and yes, some executive orders, some things there, and then of course Biden's, I don't know, there are 2 Bidens there, I think. So and then there are a few more, some are still loading. So yeah, so like some of the things are shared from Linwood, and also oops, okay, there you go. So yeah, so this is, so that is that's let me go to it. Okay, so that is richhatter.com. So yeah, so you always find some of us there, and yeah, we just keep sharing whatever we find with the community, and also share the love. So yeah, so when you get there, it looks similar to, it has that feel. So if you've used Facebook, Twitter, I think you should be familiar with how this whole thing works, because if you know how to use Facebook, you can know how to use Twitter, you can also know how to use Gab. Okay, so they all, I think they're almost the same. So anyway, so thank you so much for watching, and stay safe and take care of each other. As always, see you next time. Take care and goodbye.